At Christmas, my sister gifted me a book called How to Be Less Cheap. Everyone thought it was hilarious. I smiled, said thanks, and opened her envelope. Inside was a loan application I was supposed to co-sign. I tore it in half. Her face dropped instantly. Christmas at my parents' place had always been messy in its own way. But this year, Alyssa turned it into something else entirely. She walked in late as usual, loud and overconfident, wearing that ridiculous faux fur coat she probably couldn't afford. Dragging a Gucci bag I knew for a fact was secondhand because I saw the same one on Facebook Marketplace the week before. She kissed everyone on the cheek like she was visiting from Paris instead of crashing in her ex's apartment in Glendale. We all gathered around the tree, doing the usual half-hearted small talk, pretending to enjoy each other's company. Alyssa had clearly planned something. She kept eyeing me like she couldn't wait to get to her moment. Finally, she handed me a box wrapped in shiny gold paper and said loud enough for everyone to hear, "I got you something you really need this year." I already knew it wasn't going to be thoughtful. I opened it slowly, more out of caution than curiosity. Inside was a book with a bright yellow cover and huge block letters. How to Be Less Cheap. Pause. Then everyone laughed hard. My dad actually clapped his hand on the couch. My cousins snorted. Even my Uncle Steve, who barely talks, shook his head like it was the joke of the year. I smiled, not because it was funny, but because I've learned to survive by staying quiet when she pulls this kind of crap. Alyssa has always needed a villain in her little dramas, and I used to let myself play the role just to avoid the fallout. But this time felt different. "Don't forget the envelope," she added, grinning like a child who just dropped a frog in your lap. I opened the envelope, pulled out a tri-folded document. First, I thought it was a check. Then I realized it was a loan application. Her name already typed in, her information filled out, and a pink sticky note pointing to the bottom where it said CO signer underlined. I looked at it, then looked at her. He was still grinning, so I tore it straight down the middle. No words, just a clean, slow rip, and I dropped the pieces on her lap like it was wrapping paper. Silence. My mom stopped pouring cider. My cousin stopped chewing. My dad actually stood up. "Jesus, Rachel," he said, like I was the one who ruined Christmas. Alyssa's face twisted, confused and furious, like she couldn't decide which mask to wear next. Victim or aggressor? I walked into the kitchen and poured myself a glass of wine. My hand didn't shake. Alyssa followed. She waited until no one could hear and said I was being dramatic, selfish, that she needed the loan to move out of LA and start over. She said, "You know, I always planned to pay you back. I just thought since you don't have kids, you'd actually be useful for once." I didn't say anything back, but my mom did. She'd been standing behind the fridge door. She stepped in and said, "Rachel doesn't owe you a cent. And maybe next year you should focus on getting your life together instead of humiliating your sister." Alyssa blinked like she got hit with cold water. And then she left quietly. No big goodbye, no hugs, just coat keys door. We all pretended like Christmas wasn't ruined.